as listeners head home. It's that part of the schedule when the dust of the day's events begin to clarify, and we try to make sense of it for you. Brazier is drive time for radio and TV. It's fast, it's punchy, it's opinionated, there's a Brazier angle, and a little bit of levity.
That's the question.
That's two questions, actually.
That's Brazier, Monday to Thursday, 4 till 6 on GB News.
Hello, I'm Patrick Christie's.
And I'm Mercy Moroki.
Make sure that you join us Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. until midday, right here on GB News for To The Point.
We're not afraid to talk about the topics that matter to you or the big topics that always matter.
We cover absolutely everything, from the breaking political stories of the day to law and order, what's going on in the channel. We're not afraid to hold people to account.
We always make sure we include your views on our show.
Indeed, if you're thinking it, you can guarantee that we're saying it. So make sure you join the conversation with us, 10 a.m. until midday, Monday to Thursday, for To The Point on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Many thanks, Andrew. A busy show tonight. My Mark Meets guest is the legendary darts player Bobby George. Bobby will be alongside me in the studio at 10. In the big question, are electric cars a waste of time? We'll hear from all sides on that one. And reacting to the big stories of the day is my truly all-star panel tonight. Former top government minister, broadcaster and best-selling author Edwina Currie, lawyer and entrepreneur Rebecca Jane, and radio and Fleet Street legend Mike Porky Parry. And in my big opinion, it's time for Britain to wake up, smell the coffee and get back to the office. Your economy needs you. First up, here are the headlines with a man who's always first into the office, Ray Addison.
Thanks, Mark. I'm Ray Addison. Here's the latest from the GB newsroom. The Prime Minister has congratulated Emmanuel Macron after exit polls suggest that he's won re-election as President of France. Here's the moment when Mr Macron's supporters heard that he'd secured around 57% to 58% of the vote. Well, if the polls are correct, President Macron will begin his second term after beating his far-right rival Marine Le Pen by a comfortable margin. Voter turnout was at its lowest point since 1969, with 28% of the public choosing not to head to the ballot box. Well, let's cross over to Paris now, where GB News reporter Paul Hawkins is at a rally for Marine Le Pen. Paul, Marine Le Pen spoke after that projected defeat was announced. Is she accepting that it's all over?
Yeah, she has already. It's all done and dusted here for now, Ray. She came out not long after the result was announced. She conceded defeat. She gave thanks and called that 43% of the vote that she polled, which was higher than 5 years ago. She called it a historical score. This forgotten France, we are not forgetting it, she said. We've been buried thousands of times. She said that it shows the mistrust of the French people. I will continue my commitment for the French people. In a few weeks, we have the legislative elections. She says she will lead this battle and she will never abandon the French, referring to the legislative assembly elections which take place in France in 2 months' time. There are strong suggestion there that she will stand for to become a French MP in the French Parliament, that is the legislative assembly, in a couple of months' time. It's going to be difficult for Macron, though, who will now be serving a second term as president. No French president has done that for 20 years, but it's going to be very, very difficult for him, because with those assembly elections coming up, the big expectation is that his party will not dominate the French Parliament anymore, and therefore the Prime Minister that will be chosen will come from another party, meaning you will have a French president from one party, a Prime Minister from another party, and that situation is called cohabitation. It hasn't happened for a long time, and it means it's very difficult for the French president to get his agenda through. For Marine Le Pen, the fight goes on for her in the French Legislative Assembly elections.
Thank you very much. Now, Boris Johnson has described Russia's aggression towards Ukraine as nauseating during a call with UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. The comment was made just a day before Mr. Guterres travels to Moscow for talks with President Putin. President Zelensky has been critical of the United Nations chief for choosing to visit Russia before he travels to Kyiv. Earlier, Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister blamed Russian forces for not establishing humanitarian corridors out of Mariupol today, urging the United Nations to step in. On TV, online and on DAB+ radio, this is GB News. Now let's get back to Mark Dolan tonight.
It's Sunday, April the 24th, and you are watching and listening to Mark Dolan tonight. And we've got a brilliant 2 hours of Sunday night entertainment for you. Big stories, big opinions, and big-name guests. My Mark Meets Superstar tonight is the legendary darts player Bobby George. This jewellery-loving maestro is one of the biggest characters in British sport. And yet, he didn't pick up a dart until he was 30 years of age. He tells his incredible story live in the studio at 10. In the big question, are electric cars a waste of time? We'll hear from all sides on that one. And in the news agenda with my panel, as we've heard just there in the bulletin, Macron has won the French presidential election. What does it mean for Britain? And will we ever be friends with the French? And after the row about Angela Rayner allegedly showing her legs to distract the Prime Minister, do politics and sex mix? Helping me tackle those issues and many more will be 5 Live presenter, former, I should say, best-selling author, and of course, ex-politician Edwina Currie. We also have lawyer and entrepreneur Rebecca Jane, and Fleet Street and radio legend Mike Porky Parry. We'll also be asking, does spelling matter, given there's software to correct everything? We'll be getting our panel to participate in a live spelling test later in the show. Dictionary Corner, eat your heart out. And it's Selfie Sunday. I want to get to know you better. I want to see you. So why don't you send in your pictures and stick your name in there, and we'll share your gorgeous faces with the world. Here are some selfies that we didn't have time for last Sunday. This is Derek, handsome devil. We've also got Declan and his lovely daughter. And also Shani and Zach. David, handsome devil. Sean, enjoying a drink. You need a drink to get through this. David in Harrogate, giving me the thumbs up. And lots more to come, so get those selfies in right now. Mark at gbnews.uk. A jam-packed 2 hours to come, and here is my sworn promise to you. We don't do boring, not on my watch. I just won't have it. So let's have a lively, stimulating debate and a few laughs along the way. It is Sunday night, and there's a nip in the air, isn't there? So pop on an extra layer, fire up the kettle, and tear open those fig rolls. Don't they look delicious? And let's get to work. We only get back to normal if we get back to work. Jacob Rees-Mogg, a cabinet member who enjoys the optimistic title of Minister for Brexit Opportunities and Government Efficiency, has taken the opportunity to gently cajole, or is that troll, members of the civil service to return to their expensive central London offices. Here's the note that he distributed around Whitehall. It reads as follows: sorry you were out when I visited. I look forward to seeing you in the office very soon. With every good wish, Jacob Rees-Mogg. Not exactly a love note, is it? More like a poison pen letter. For the ever-polite politician that is Jacob Rees-Mogg, the message was clear. Get your arse back into the office pronto. This guy is not everyone's cup of tea. Rees-Mogg is very laid back at work himself. And of course, he's so old-fashioned that he makes the cast of Downton Abbey look positively up to date. But he's right to attack lazy civil servants lounging around at home. It's a matter of national duty to go back to the office now. Your country needs you. The renowned entrepreneur James Dyson, who has generated so much wealth for this country, including his annual personal tax bill of 120 million quid, has said that work from home has been a disaster for productivity And he estimates it will cost the economy around £12 billion in lost income, not just because people won't be going to their local Costa or Pret a Manger near work, but because people work less well, have fewer ideas and get less done when they're not around others. Now, we do have a fantastic public sector. Furlough, for example, was a triumph of policy and delivery. But public sector workers have an advantage over the private sector. They are less sackable, with invariably better workers' rights, better pensions, and a pay grade that's better across the board. In many cases, it's a job for life. If you work for the state, you are paid for by British taxpayers, and that is a privilege. And anyone in the public sector is insulated from the rigorous commercial pressures faced by private organisations and their employees. Which is why it's a national scandal that so many in the public sector, particularly civil servants, are still at home, making cups of tea, caning the custard creams, emptying the tumble dryer, and catching the tail end of loose women. Work from home has been a revelation for many people. And if you're in a job that doesn't require your presence in the office, fair enough. I'm no Luddite. We cannot and should not undo many of the positive changes that we've seen in the last 2 years. Work from home is fantastic for employees with young families. They can drop the kids off to school and pick them up at 3:30 and still get a day's work done. It's great news for people with pets. Fido will get his 2 or 3 walks a day and plenty of cuddles as well. And I don't begrudge anyone saving on commuting costs, plus the stress and time wasted of travelling in and out. But look at the disaster at the DVLA, who have presided over a colossal backlog of driving licences, which is a nightmare for people that need to get on the road, and it will have a clear economic impact too. The Passport Office haven't fared much better, and difficulties processing who needed safe travel to Britain from Afghanistan during the botched Allied withdrawal wasn't helped by empty desks at the Foreign Office in Whitehall. 60% of our economy is based on consumption. In other words, us buying things and consuming them. The businesses clustered around once busy work hubs are withering on the line. Empty cafes with dusty glasses and city centre pubs, which have only got old Sid, who's been drinking there for 30 years, propping up the bar. We need to have an honest conversation about work from home, because whilst it suits many, it comes at an economic price. Millions of people working from home is impacting retail and hospitality, both big employers of young people and a source of national income. And it could cause a crash in the value of commercial property. Now, why should you care if a landlord can rent or cannot rent out his or her office space? Well, because there are often big fat mortgages on those properties, and many of the pensions upon which we rely are dependent on the income from these offices and retail spaces. Droves of people staying away from the work HQ is an economic race to the bottom. But it's not only about money. We are social creatures. We thrive on interaction. When you go into the office, you can discuss last night's EastEnders. You can grab the boss for a spontaneous word about a new project, or catch a stolen romantic glance with Claire in marketing or Dave in accounts. He's got lovely eyes, that Dave. You can share ideas with your colleagues, support each other, laugh together, cry, and go out to the pub for a cheeky half pint at the end of a long day, have a gossip, and make sense of it all. Work from home is often something akin to slavery in your own house, with no clear delineation of when your work starts and when it ends, with many chained to the computer for in excess of 10 or 12 hours. We're in danger of becoming a nation of keyboard monkeys imprisoned in the gilded cage of our own home. Work from home is still a relatively new experiment, and we don't know the long-term mental health and indeed physical health implications of people just being able to shuffle from the bedroom to the living room as their daily commute. Is that healthy? I'm not so sure. Going to the office gets you out and about, and buying a bus or train ticket pays for the transport infrastructure that we all need and expect. So, as with so many of the tough choices facing policymakers, you can't have one without the other. You can't have a thriving economy that pays for a great health service, education, policing, defence and welfare, with millions stuck at home all day long, only going to their front door to collect an Amazon package or a Deliveroo. And don't let employers fool you that they're being lovely and caring by letting you work from home. They're saving a fortune on office costs, whilst many workers don't have the resources at home that they would at the office. The picture presented by the media of work from home has been moccasin-wearing middle-class types sending emails on a $2,500 Mac computer, working at an expensive oak table in a room which overlooks a sprawling North London garden. Well, that's not the reality for millions. Too many people are in flat shares, fighting for desk space in the kitchen with their cohabitants. It's working parents trying to check a company report, with kids screaming in the background and CBeebies blaring. Some people don't even have a proper desk or chair to work on, or they've got crappy broadband or a bad computer. And a lot of accommodation in this country, as we know, is substandard. Leaky ceilings, plumbing up the creek, a boiling hot flat in the summer, or a freezing one in the winter. And of course, with the soaring cost of energy, there's a big difference between heating the house all day long and just having it on for a few hours in the evening. And notwithstanding the merits or otherwise of lockdown, you know my views on that one, it's been abundantly clear that it doesn't do us any good to be on our own and disconnected from the outside world. And further isolation and the daily reality of inhabiting a digital world risks further amplifying the power of social media and the groupthink echo chambers their algorithms are carefully crafted to create. Stuck online for hours every day for months and years on end is not going to be great for human psychology and will exacerbate the toxic divide our society is now faced with, played out in a virtual universe of Twitter and Facebook, but which is real nonetheless. If we're going to rehabilitate our economy and heal our divided society, we must come together. We must become a community again, and it starts in the office or on the factory floor. We're better together. It's time for Britain to wake up and smell the coffee and get back to the office. Work from home has now become so normalised, it's got its own acronym. It's known as WFH. But as far as I'm concerned, it's more like WTF. Excuse my French. And reacting to the big stories of the day is my all-star panel. We have radio and TV and Fleet Street legend Mike Porky Parry, ex-government minister, 5 Live broadcaster, best-selling author and twice winner of Mastermind. I should know because she beat me once, Edwina Curry, and broadcaster, entrepreneur and top lawyer Rebecca Jane. Edwina, let me start with you. Is it time to get back to the office?
I'm here. I'm actually in the studio, aren't I? I'm only a few yards from you.
And it's great to have you.
It's absolutely super. Yes, I think Jacob Rees-Mogg has put his finger on something very important. It's not just the worries about inefficiency, which you have mentioned, or the worries about isolation at home and perhaps the mental health of people who get very cut off from other people, which you've also mentioned. I think there's a problem of a lack of creativity. When you go into the office, when you go into the workplace, something buzzes, something happens, and people then can become much better at problem solving. They can share problems with other people, water cooler moments, that sort of thing. Marie Curie, the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, and she actually won 2, and she was actually one of my mastermind subjects. She used the money from her second Nobel Prize to help create, with the Pasteur Institute, a sort of multi-complex in Paris. Would have a hospital on one side, research institute, the university on the other, and in the centre was a big shady square with linden trees, with benches underneath, because she said, I want everybody to be able to come out at lunchtime and sit under the trees and talk to each other. In other words, help solve the problem. Somebody would come out of the hospital and say, I've got a patient with this problem. Somebody who was a scientific researcher would have some suggestions. Somebody in the university would have the ability to do all the statistics or whatever. That kind of creativity cannot be drummed out of thin air. You cannot do it on your own. Every writer will tell you this. You actually need to go somewhere from time to time to get the stimulus, and that is particularly true when, for example, government departments are having to solve issues, big issues, at very short notice and use a lot of imagination to do it. Foreign Office and Home Office recently has been an example of what happens when actually people are all working from home.
Rebecca Jane, Work from home if you want to, but we've got to accept as a country that it will come at an economic price. It will make us poorer.
It will make us poorer, and there is the economic price to do with it, but my main concern is the mental health aspect. And also what I have personally found is that the people who are hiding behind the work from home screen are the people that actually don't do that much. And it's used as an excuse right now. And it is... I'm definitely finding it more of a Gen Z problem. They are the generation that's like, I want to work from home, the vibe's not right and all this. You know, now get back in the office, start working hard, because it does affect people's mental states. And why do we want to create an isolation nation? It's not for me.
Mike Parry, you were the king of the newsroom in the 80s, 90s and noughties in the world of journalism. Can you imagine working from home?
No. I think it's appalling. Can I mention her name? Sarah Healy. She is the senior civil servant at the Department for Culture, OK? And she made the famous comment that it's great working from home. I can spend another hour on a Peloton bike. Oh, really? Doesn't that give you an indication of the way they despise the taxpayer who's paying their salaries, their bloated salaries, their big salaries? They live out of town and they get a London waiting allowance, but they stay at home and sit on their Peloton bikes, OK? They treat us, the public, with utter contempt. Jacob Rees-Mogg report, when he went around all those departments and tried to find out how many people had come into work, in one department, he found zero. 0 people sitting in a room with 54 desks. It's an absolute disgrace. You've mentioned the fact that I worked in newsrooms, and let me tell you this, Mark, and you'll know this as well. There is nothing better to stimulate the mind than going into an editorial conference at 4 o'clock every day to put a newspaper together after you've had a couple of sherbets at lunchtime, and suddenly, when people start disagreeing with each other, you're climbing over the table and you're punching each other like that. And you're saying, no, my story's better than yours. Your picture won't make the front page. It's creative energy. And if you want to get something right, you need enormous amounts of creative energy. And you don't get creative energy from being individual on a Zoom screen. It just doesn't generate it. And it's a scandal that the vast majority of people who want to work from home are paid by the taxpayer. They're civil servants. The civil service needs a root and branch reform to remind them they should start working for a living instead of thinking the world owes them a living.
Edwina Curry, what was your view of the civil service when you were at the heart of government?
Oh, they were terrific. Absolutely terrific. And we worked together, I think, pretty well. I mean, we would sit around and argue and debate what we wanted to do. I found that much of my job as a minister was to ask some fundamental questions, send them scurrying off to find the answers. Like, for example, you know, what's killing women that we could help to prevent? And the answer was breast cancer. And we were talking over 30 years ago. Well, then how might we prevent it? Well, we'll look at the different systems. We set that up and did some research. And what came back was mammograms. And how would we need to do that? Well, you need to do the main age groups where it's been. And you know what? We ended up with a system that works and still works and has saved
but does it work?
Thousands and mammograms work.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, they'd work on your bosoms as well, let me tell you. Men get breast cancer too.
I didn't mean that, Edwin. I meant, does the civil service work? In your day, you're saying it was efficient. It worked.
We were all face-to-face. We were all face-to-face.
That's what I mean.
Also, we called in experts that we needed. If there was the civil services job is not to be the experts, but to set up the system so that the experts can be brought in, the right questions can be asked. And then, of course, what you have to do is make sure that you actually implement it.
Oh, but they have their own ways of doing it now, as we've learned from the response of the civil service in the Home Office, who we believe are trying to prevent the progress of the campaign to have people sent to Rwanda. We've seen it reported in the newspapers. We can't let this happen. I mean, in your day, were the civil service as opinionated and as political as they appear to be today?
Well, they were often opinionated, not political, but they would have views about whether something was possible or not possible. But I did find in the several years that I was in office that the civil servants who worked with me sort of changed, because I think the perm sec got the hang of what I was trying to do.
Right.
And made sure that I was working with people that would work happily in that environment. And so it showed.
But you were the perm sex boss. So shouldn't you have been able to say, I want this done, get it done, I don't care how you get it done, it's going to be done. It seems to me these days, the blob, as it's now known, which is the civil service, if they don't like it, because politically they've been brainwashed into thinking this is not a good policy, they just don't do it.
And we know that, don't we, from the innermost thoughts of Dominic Cummings from his blog, Edwina Curry, that he was at war with Whitehall whilst at number 10. He wanted a complete overhaul.
Yeah, but I don't think you actually make that much progress if you yell at people. I don't think you make progress if you are openly and overtly critical of them all the time. Politics is the art of the possible. Dominic Cummings was never a politician. He'd never make a politician in his life. But I was a politician elected to office of one kind or another for 22 years. What you have to do is actually bring people with you. So very often you know what the answer is. But what you do is you put the question, you say to somebody, you know more about this than I do. This is how I see the problem. Is this how you see the problem? What do you think the solutions are? And they'll come up with different answers. And when they get to the one that you like, you go, oh, now that's interesting. Do you think we could get that costed, or could we get it looked at a little bit further? Can I hand that over to you? And you give them ownership of it, and they do it.
Well, Edwina Curry, I wish you were still at the top level of British government, because if there's one thing we know about you, is that you like to get things done. Lots more from my fabulous panel tonight. My Mark Meets guest at 10 is the legendary darts player Bobby George. But next, in the big question, are electric cars a waste of time? Plus, we'll get reaction to news that Emmanuel Macron appears to have won the French presidential elections. Is it a good result for Britain? And will we ever be friends with the French? I've got an all-star panel. I just need your emails and your selfies. mark@gbnews.uk, and I'll see you in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr. Me and my panel will get stuck right into the day's events, and I can tell you, in fact, I can warn you, expect some robust debates, some strong opinions and perspectives from both sides of the fence. It's about you at home as well. I love to read out all of your comments, or at least as many as I can. So join me, Michelle Dewberry, Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr.
On radio, they call it the drive time slot, 4 p.m. until 6 p.m. as listeners head home. It's that part of the schedule when the dust of the day's events begin to clarify, and we try to make sense of it for you. Brazier is drive time for radio and TV. It's fast, it's punchy, it's opinionated, there's a Brazier angle and a little bit of levity.
That's the question. That's 2 questions, actually.
That's Brazier, Monday to Thursday, 4 till 6 on GB News.
Hello, I'm Patrick Christie's.
And I'm Mercy Moroki.
Make sure that you join us Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. until midday, right here on GB News for To The Point.
We're not afraid to talk about the topics that matter to you, or the big topics that always matter.
We cover absolutely everything, from the breaking political stories of the day to law and order, what's going on in the channel. We're not afraid to hold people to account.
We always make sure we include your views on our show.
Indeed, if you're thinking it, you can guarantee that we're saying it. So make sure you join the conversation with us, 10 a.m. until midday, Monday to Thursday, for To The Point on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Big reaction to my big opinion monologue. I think that we've got to get back to the office. Our country needs us and the economy needs rescuing. But what's your view? Mark at gbnews.uk. Janice says, Mark, you are so right about the civil servants getting back to work. My granddaughter had great difficulty trying to get her provisional driving licence. And she had similar problems with HMRC, trying to get herself a national insurance number. I know those 3 terrible words, Janice, because of COVID. The ultimate excuse. How about this from Julie? Mark, I completely agree with you in your big opinion monologue. Rees-Mogg was absolutely right. No wonder there's a backlog of driving licences and passports. They should have gone back months ago. They're just milking it now, and the taxpayer is footing the bill as usual. Adrian says, Mark, remote working may suit both employees and employers. It can help balanced development in the country, and it saves on travel. Adrian, thank you for that. And last but not least at this stage, Annie says, Dear Mark, if you're not working in London, you should not receive London waiting allowance in your pay. That's a slightly higher pay grade if you're in the capital. Likewise, they should work 37 hours a week outside London, not 36 that they had before lockdown. I was a civil servant and believe they should be in the office at least 3 days a week, preferably more. Lots to get through in the rest of the show. In the news agenda with my panel, we'll be tackling some burning issues, including this one, which is how do you feel about an automated shopping experience? Going into a supermarket, not speaking to any checkout people and just coming out with your goods. Sounds like a dystopian hell, if you ask me. And also, does spelling matter? My brilliant panellists will be doing a spelling competition later in the programme. But first, it's time now for the big question. I think we've got a quick selfie. Have we got a selfie? Brilliant. Now, give me some names. Who have we got? Gordon. Gordon's alive. Oh, Gordon. Now, this is a photograph Gordon sent in, and his wife made him pose by a sign in the window of a shop that says, "Blow me, baby." I can't imagine what that means. Lots more selfies to come, Mark at gbnews.uk. It's time now for the big question, in which we tackle a major news story of the day from multiple points of view. The popular motoring website and magazine Auto Express report that the green credentials of electric cars may not be all they're cracked up to be. A new formula for NCAP emissions ratings casts doubt on electric cars' green credentials, with a new measurement of whole life car emissions, showing little difference between many electric and internal combustion engined vehicles. However, on the flip side, The Guardian report that driving an electric car for a year costs almost £600 less than its petrol equivalent after fuel prices surged more than electricity costs as a result of turmoil in the global energy markets. So are electric vehicles the future of travel, or an expensive white elephant? And that's tonight's big question. Are electric cars a waste of time? To debate this, I'm delighted to welcome Donna McCarthy, climate columnist for The Independent, and Lois Perry, the director of car26.org, which is a fantastic platform celebrating all things motoring. If I could start with you, Lois Perry, what are your thoughts about electric cars? Are they the future?
No, they're not the future. All they are designed to do is to disenfranchise normal people and to try and limit normal working class people's ability to actually travel and get around. Electric cars are not greener, even if you believe that CO2 is affecting climate change, which I don't and my organisation doesn't. You know, even if you believe that, they're not any better for the environment. Volvo did a report basically saying that you have to drive it for 70,000 miles for it to be any better for the environment or to be any greener whatsoever. You know, they're just rubbish. They're limp, they're horrible. The kind of men that drive them are the kind of men that would make you split the bill on the first date. I just think they're awful. But if people want to have an electric car, that's completely up to them. But it shouldn't be shoved down our throats. The whole thing, but there's an agenda going on here, and the agenda is to put poor people and working class, normal people onto public transport, while the elites have their electric cars, and they'll probably have a petrol car as well in the drive because they can afford to for long journeys. And yeah, so I think they're an absolute complete waste of time. Yeah.
Well, Lois, I definitely won't be brave enough to take you out for a drink in my Prius, which I can't imagine is the best example of a sort of a masculine stereotype. However, Lois, I do go around on my moped, and I'd rather be behind an electric vehicle than a diesel one, just in terms of the amount of guff that comes out the back of the car.
Well, that's absolutely fine. But the problem is the research and development that should be being done into petrol and diesel vehicles to make their emissions in terms of pollution lesser it just isn't being done at the moment, because this ideology, this fanaticism around the green agenda is meaning that we're not actually exploring ways of making petrol and diesel cars cleaner in terms of pollution. It's all going into this electric car thing. I mean, where my mum lives in London, they're saying to people who live on her road that if you don't have an electric vehicle, you can't park outside your house anymore. They're going to remove the permit. What about people that can't afford an electric car? What about people that don't want one? It just hasn't been thought through at all. And I've been working quite closely with Howard Cox of Fairfuel UK, and there's going to be a report coming out soon, which he's done with Craig McKinley, as a cradle to grave report all about electric vehicles. And oh my God, the results of that are going to be astounding. You will see that there's absolutely no benefit whatsoever, apart from the people that have invested in this guff, for normal people whatsoever.
Donncha McCarthy, I guess if you were buying a new car now, you might look at electric or a hybrid, but perhaps the most environmentally friendly thing to do is to keep the old banger you've got, because what the emission tests don't take into account is the enormous environmental footprint of producing a new car, even an electric one.
Yes, there is a significant environmental impact in buying any car, whether it's petrol or electric. And we actually, to take care of the environment and people's health, we need to move away from car ownership and driving for the 70% of journeys in cities that are under 5 miles. We need to reduce the pollution in poor people, working class people. Most of the poorest people in our cities don't have cars. And the idea that they're paying with their lives for this car culture that Lois represents is tragic. And so what we need to do is, for those vehicles that are essential, we need to move for electric, such as delivery vehicles and people in rural areas. And in cities, we need to move towards public transport, cycling and walking to protect the health of working class people and to ensure the roads aren't clogged up. So working class people can get to work on their buses without being clogged up by cars, by the selfish minority in London who drive to work. 5% of people in London drive to work by car, and they clog up the roads for everybody else, and we need to move away from them.
So, Donncha, you're saying that my viewers can keep their old banger and not have to sort of remortgage their house just to buy an electric vehicle?
No, the idea you have to mortgage your car is incorrect. Auto Express itself has said that now the running costs for lifetime of an electric vehicle is lower than a petrol vehicle. As regards as it not being a thing of the future, twice as many
Lois, can you not interrupt Donncha? Stay at your red lights. I'll give you a moment. Carry on, Donncha.
Sorry, twice as many electric vehicles were sold in March this year than petrol vehicles. Drivers are beginning to move with their feet because they know they need to take action on both for their pocket and for their pollution and for climate. And so that's what's happening. It is going to be for the future, but ideally in cities, it's not the perfect answer.
Lois Perry, you've got right of way.
Sorry about that. I just get very passionate about it. I apologise about that, Mark.
No, it's all good.
Basically, that is nonsense. And he's just admitted that he doesn't want people in cars, full stop. Now, tell that to the single mother who's going to the shop with their kids in the back of the car. Tell her to get on a bicycle. Tell a disabled person that they can't have their car. Tell normal people that they have to walk everywhere and that they can't go on long trips. Tell them that they have to stay at home and it's only essential vehicles like their Amazon deliveries. It's not on at all. And to say that electric vehicles are cheaper in the long run is rubbish, because you can't resell on an electric vehicle, because after 10 years, the battery's kaput and you have to get a new battery. What about young people as well? What about the £500 vehicle that a teenager can buy to get him and his mates to go to Glastonbury? When's that going to happen? We're disenfranchising absolutely everybody, and it's completely and utterly unfair. I'm doing a big conference, actually, the Delling Pod Live on the 29th of April in London. He's going to be interviewing Majid Nawaz, and we're going to be talking about this. We're going to be talking about how these people, and I'm sorry to say, people like you, are anti-human and they are anti-freedom. They are anti-liberty. This is a libertarian
I think I need to
issue.
come back on that.
One moment. Lois Perry, you're on an amber light at the moment, Donoghue, so cool your boots. I don't want road rage. The bottom line, Lois Perry, is this sounds to me, taking people's cars away is communism by the back door.
That's what I think. I think they want us all at home being good girls and boys, staring at our screens on universal basic income, not able to go anywhere. What about white van man? Is he going to be allowed to have a vehicle? Who's going to be allowed? Is he going to make it? Who's going to make the decision about whether somebody should have a car or not? It's disgusting. It's a libertarian issue, 100%. And that's what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for people to have the freedom of choice.
Donoghue, this is communism by the back door, isn't it? State control and collectivism.
Let's be serious here. The idea that you call somebody who's actually calling for healthier streets, freer streets for working class people to get to work so they're not plugged up by selfish people in cars is anti-human. It's really unfortunate use of language. I am talking about the 30,000 people every year poisoned by car pollution, the 30,000 people who die from inactivity diseases, the 80 to 90% of kids who are afraid to cycle to school because of this car culture. What we need to do is create beautiful cities where people can walk and cycle and go by public transport, not plugged up by selfish drivers, and restore freedom to our kids. It's
Donoghue, what if working class people watching this show, hard-working Brits, want to own a car? You seem to speak on their behalf.
Exactly.
Did I say in any of my conversation to ban cars? I actually said that what we need to do is to encourage, and what we need to do that is to encourage public transport, provision of cycling and safer streets so kids and parents can go to school without plugging them up for our car. And the point of white van man is important. The people who own electric vans and electric taxis, as in this middle of this energy crisis, are actually really excited because they are not being squeezed by the oil barons, because the cost of running an electric cab and electric van has reduced so much compared to the soaring costs of petrol that they are very positive. I was in a black cab last week, an electric black cab, and the driver was saying, thank goodness I've got an electric vehicle rather than an old-fashioned, dirty petrol cab.
Sounds like a brainwashed nutter to me. Let's crack on with this because it's obviously an issue which has caused a major debate in the country, as demonstrated on this very programme just a few weeks ago. Take a look.
You could lease a Tesla for about £230 a month. And
oh,
save most of that
what planet are you living on? A Tesla?
You will save most of it on your fuel bill. Believe me, you'll be quid
I actually checked out how much a Tesla was about 2 weeks ago, and it's about £550 a month. Point proven, you're completely deluded. It's double the price of what you think.
But of course...
you look on the Tesla website, and you will find you can lease Tesla cars for £230 a month. That's good news. That's great news.
With what? A £15,000 deposit? How many people do you think can afford that? Stop! This is ludicrous.
But you don't need them in London at all. In London, you can use public transport.
Blue, and they're telling me it's multicoloured. Stop it! This is nonsense. I'm so sorry.
Rebecca Jane,
I tell you what,
go on,
Mark,
Edwina.
I issue a challenge to that wonderful young woman. Come and stay with me for a few days in the Peak District. I'll show you how it's done. And you'll go back with your mind transformed.
I would love we're both coming to stay with you.
Explosive stuff. Well, of course, those two protagonists are with us tonight on the panel, Rebecca Jane and Edwina Currie. And still with us, Donoghue McCarthy and Lois Perry and Mike Porky Parry. Edwina, do you feel vindicated by this debate?
I feel anti-human. My goodness me. I'm on my second Tesla. My second. We were early adopters. My husband was a senior police officer and loved driving. And we got a Tesla. We swapped his Porsche for a Tesla, second-hand Porsche for a Tesla, back in 2017. And I've just swapped it for a newer version. Now, the point is, it's charging up at home. And it's charging with, in this country, our electricity is mainly green. And so all the stuff about how it's not green is a load of absolute nonsense, complete nonsense. And it's going to cost probably about £7 tonight to charge up, compared with, wait for it, how many paid 70 quid or whatever to fill up an ordinary car. And that's how you save your money. That's how you save your money. And if you're driving an electric car, you drive past the petrol stations right now and try not to look smug. Incidentally, she still hasn't been, so she's not ready to learn, is she?
I said I was coming and the producers didn't set it up.
Let me tell you that I had a meeting with my brilliant executive producer, James Gibson, and we've got the cameraman ready. And if you're both up for the challenge, I would like to invite you, Rebecca Jane, to spend some time in, is it Derbyshire?
It is.
Beautiful rural Derbyshire with Edwina Curry. And Edwina will show you her futuristic Tesla. Do you accept the challenge, Rebecca Jane?
Am I still invited?
Will you accept this time and actually come?
I accept.
It's done. It's a done deal. James, did you get that? There you go. Load up the... I think you might go up in a diesel. It's a bit ironic, but...
Can I just add one more thing, Mark?
It's a great debate,
actually, yes. The modern electric cars are absolutely terrific. They're wonderful. I mean, Tesla has become a worldwide brand, and Elon Musk is God knows how many times a billionaire, because what he's designed is a superb car. And it doesn't cost much more than, you know, the high-status cars that even you can afford, like, you know, second-hand Mercedes or whatever, but it's much better cars. And this is one of the key things. You're into cutting-edge technology. Yes, the transition is a bit of a pain, but we're getting far more chargers now. There are chargers all over the place. There's chargers in our local Tesco supermarket, local authority car parks and so on. And yes, not everybody's going to benefit, but that's true of everything you ever do. And therefore, there is no reason whatever why you, whoever you are watching, shouldn't be looking at getting yourself an electric car very soon.
Rebecca Jane?
OK, so in preparation for today, I asked my lovely friend from Keyfleet Cars to do me a quotation. So the equivalent, I do drive a Range Rover, so the roughly...
A what?
Shh, be quiet, Edwina.
A Range Rover?
So roughly, the equivalent type of car, Tesla, £2,000 deposit, which most people can't afford.
You can.
£700 per month. So... Now then, you were trying to make a point that they were £200 a month. I have certainly not found one. I had over 50 quotes sent to me after that. Not one came anywhere near. The closest was 400. Couldn't agree more with, I assume it was Lois.
400? You could afford 400?
But the point is, as well, is that you're going on about how, you know, fuel prices and all the rest of it.
You will save £400.
Hang on a second.
You will save £400 a month.
When the electricity has now gone through the roof. Also, can we please talk about that we apparently are going to have 30 million electric cars on the roads within 10 years. Where are all those batteries going to go in 10 years' time? Because only 5% actually get recycled. This is complete and utter nonsense. So your average working class person or a mother with children does not want to be battling with public transport, especially, you can talk about all your cities and all the rest of it, but if you want to try and make this a national thing, you need to address the system for the countryside and for people who don't just live in a city. Because I'll tell you
in the countryside.
Our public transport system is absolute... Yes, but you also drive a Tesla, Edwina.
Exactly.
Which not very many people could do. I also had Mark pull up a quotation for a Nissan Leaf, which was an entry-level electric car, and that's 350 quid a month.
You might as well have a Tesla.
Once I've been to the people...
I will defend Edwina and say that the price of electric vehicles is coming down. And as The Guardian point out, it's 600 quid a year cheaper now to actually fuel your electric car rather than a petrol or diesel alternative. So perhaps now it's a challenge, but in a few years' time, surely we'll all be going electric. In fact, Mike Parry, you'll probably buy an electric Mercedes. You're a Mercedes man, aren't you?
Jaguar, actually. But I would never buy an electric car for a number of reasons. Firstly, these batteries are made from cobalt, and cobalt is mined in the Republic of the Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo, where children almost into slave labour have to go down mines and get it. Doesn't anybody have a conscience about this?
And in Australia.
Yes, and Australia. Don't we also know as well that because of these massive batteries in electric cars, they are much heavier than a normal car? So one of the panellists here was talking about pollution in the air. electric cars throw out much more pollution because the tyres on an electric car disintegrate very, very quickly because of the weight of the car. They do, Edwina.
I drive one.
Well, you can't see the pollution. It's so fine, the particles. But it is a proven scientific fact. And the third one is, there's a broadcaster in this country called Mr. Ian Dale, sometimes of this parish. Did you read his piece about trying to get from Norfolk to London in a journey that would have taken 3.5 hours, took 11 hours? Why? There were no charging points. And if in the end we all end up driving electric cars, 30 million electric cars, the country will close down. We don't have enough electricity in this country at the moment to even run railways. So if everybody's driving an electric car, the country will close down. We'd have to build 10 nuclear power stations to provide enough electricity for people to run electric cars if there's 30 million of them.
It's all about opinions, and we will have this out in rural Derbyshire. A very generous invitation from Edwina Curry to Rebecca Jane to actually have an experience in a Tesla to see whether the numbers add up. My sincere thanks to Donna McCarthy, climate columnist at The Independent. Thank you, Donna. Good to see you again. And a good friend of this show, Lois Perry, the director of car26.org. Lots more to get through at 10. My Mark Meets guest is the darts legend, Bobby George. He's live in the studio. He's a maverick character, and boy, has he got a story to tell. He didn't pick up a dart until the age of 30. There's hope for all of us. Lots more to get through, plus that amazing panel. We'll be back. See you shortly.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr. Me and my panel will get stuck right into the day's events, and I can tell you, in fact, I can warn you, expect some robust debates, some strong opinions and perspectives from both sides of the fence. It's about you at home as well. I love to read out all of your comments, or at least as many as I can. So join me, Michelle Dewberry, Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr.
On radio, they call it the drive time slot, 4 p.m. until 6 p.m. as listeners head home. It's that part of the schedule when the dust of the day's events begin to clarify, and we try to make sense of it for you. Brazier is drive time for radio and TV. It's fast, it's punchy, it's opinionated, there's a Brazier angle and a little bit of levity.
That's the question. That's two questions, actually.
That's Brazier, Monday to Thursday, 4 till 6 on GB News.
Hello, I'm Patrick Christie's.
And I'm Mercy Moroki.
Make sure that you join us Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. until midday, right here on GB News for To The Point.
We're not afraid to talk about the topics that matter to you, or the big topics that always matter.
We cover absolutely everything, from the breaking political stories of the day to law and order, what's going on in the channel. We're not afraid to hold people to account.
We always make sure we include your views on our show.
Indeed, if you're thinking it, you can guarantee that we're saying it. So make sure you join the conversation with us, 10 a.m. until midday, Monday to Thursday, for To The Point on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Big reaction to our big discussion. The big question was, are electric cars a waste of time? Strong views across the board. Come on, Mark, says David, get off the fence with Edwina. This is disinformation. It's ridiculous. £230 a month rental. Even you know it doesn't make sense. Andrew says, hi, Mark, another great show. The bottom line to the question about electric cars is this, and I think I speak for many. We can't afford them. I'm glad Edwina can. Good for her. Most can't. Tom says, Edwina's talking rubbish. If you look at the national grid, over 50% of electricity is generated by bay gas. Wind is under 25. OK, well, look, we'll get to that conversation shortly. Also, we've got some Sunday selfies. It is Selfie Sunday, and here is Howard. Lovely. What a winning smile. We've also got lovely Jessica. Oh, fabulous. Pyjamas? I think so. And how about David? fine figure of a man. Look at that. I definitely got the cleverest and the most gorgeous viewers. Keep those selfies coming, Mark at GBnews.uk. Emmanuel Macron will be posing for a few selfies because it's been a big day in France politically. Emmanuel Macron looks more or less to have been re-elected as president for a second term. Obviously, it's a big moment for him and his party. What does it mean for French politics? What does it mean for the UK? Is this good news for this politician who was quite critical of Brexit and indeed the vaccine? We've had lots of contretemps with Mr. Macron over the illegal channel crossings as well. So we've had a tense relationship with France. Will it get any better in a second Macron term? Delighted to welcome David Giraud, who is a spokesman for the left-wing party La France Insoumise. David, bien sûr, welcome to the show.
Hey.
First of all, did you see this victory as inevitable?
Kind of, because it's like, for people like me, born in 1992, we've seen, I think, at least 3 presidential elections opposing one liberal to one far-right candidate. And I'm just like this, 5 more years. 5 more years. And Marine Le Pen has done her job. She allowed Emmanuel Macron, which is hated by a lot of French people in here, to be re-elected because she's bad and there's nothing good in her program. So we're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep in touch with my political organization led by Jean-Luc Mélenchon, because there is soon new elections in France. These elections are for the parliament. And the parliamentary election made us have a prime minister, which is in another political color from the President Macron.
And is this woman now, this politician, Le Pen, Marine Le Pen, is her career over? Is she in the mad?
I don't know. I'm not sure because she's still young. She may try to continue, but it's been. I think it's like the eighth time that Le Pen is losing the presidential election, so it's quite a lot. But it's concerning though, because a lot of French people have voted for a far-right candidate, and it's concerning. We've been trying with Jean-Luc Mélenchon to tell French people that even if they hate Macron, the solution is not in the fact that you have to hate each other or to divide French people each other, to hate each other, to get out of this liberal scenario. We've been trying to do it. We've been really close from eliminating Marine Le Pen from the second term and to be opposing Emmanuel Macron. We haven't succeeded, and we stay fighting.
And David, briefly, if you can, does Emmanuel Macron have a problem with Britain?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know. In France today, our eyes are really looking in Ukraine. Emmanuel Macron has been doing a lot of things, maybe a lot of noise. But he's been acting a lot in Ukraine, and French people and Great Britain it's a complicated feeling. And for Emmanuel Macron, he never accepted the Brexit. My political organization is not for Frexit, French exit, but he never accepted it because he's really close to the European Commission, to the European Parliament, to the European, system, and for liberal, the sovereignty of the people is not that much important. I mean, I've been fighting a lot far right because a lot of people that want. I'm not sure that it's a good idea, but when people vote, they choose, and that's something liberals cannot afford.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. David Giraud, merci bien. Thank you so much for joining us with your reaction to what is very clearly a victory and an unprecedented re-election for Emmanuel Macron. What do you think? Is it good news for Britain? Mark at gbnews.uk. At 10 o'clock, my Mark Meets guest is the legendary darts player. What a character! Bobby George live in the studio, plus more from Edwina Currie, Mike Parry and Rebecca Jane. Does spelling matter? We've got another great British game show. And how about this? Do you want an automated shopping experience? Whatever happened to the checkout girl? See you shortly.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr. Me and my panel will get stuck right into the day's events, and I can tell you, in fact, I can warn you, expect some robust debates, some strong opinions and perspectives from both sides of the fence. It's about you at home as well. I love to read out all of your comments, or at least as many as I can. So join me, Michelle Dewberry, Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr.
On radio, they call it the drive time slot, 4 p.m. until 6 p.m. as listeners head home. It's that part of the schedule when the dust of the day's events begin to clarify, and we try to make sense of it for you. Brazier is drive time for radio and TV. It's fast, it's punchy, it's opinionated, there's a Brazier angle and a little bit of levity.
That's the question. That's two questions, actually.
That's Brazier, Monday to Thursday, 4 till 6 on GB News.
Hello, I'm Patrick Christie's.
And I'm Mercy Moroki.
Make sure that you join us Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. until midday, right here on GB News for To The Point.
We're not afraid to talk about the topics that matter to you, or the big topics that always matter.
We cover absolutely everything, from the breaking political stories of the day to law and order, what's going on in the channel. We're not afraid to hold people to account.
We always make sure we include your views on our show.
Indeed, if you're thinking it, you can guarantee that we're saying it. So make sure you join the conversation with us, 10 a.m. until midday, Monday to Thursday, for To The Point on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Well, my Mark Meets guest is the darts legend, Bobby George. In fact, he's live in the studio and he looks phenomenal. I can't wait to hear his story. This is a man who first picked up a dart at the age of 30. There's hope for all of us. Can't wait for my encounter with Bobby George in just a couple of minutes. Also, we'll talk about Parliament and Angela Rayner and those legs. Is Parliament sexist? Do politics and sex mix at all? We'll talk to Edwina Currie specifically on that one. And also, does spelling matter? We will have a live spelling bee. That's right, my panel will do a spelling test later this hour. First up, a man whose spelling and grammar is impeccable. It's Ray with the headlines.
I should hope so. Thanks, Mark. Here's the latest from the GB newsroom. The Prime Minister has congratulated Emmanuel Macron after exit polls suggest that he's won re-election as President of France. Here's the moment when Mr Macron's supporters heard that he'd secured around 58% of the vote. Well, if the polls are right, President Macron will begin his second term after beating his far-right rival, Marine Le Pen, by a comfortable margin. GB News' political editor, Darren McCaffrey, is at a rally for President Macron.
Macron thanked his supporters as he gathered here tonight at the Eiffel Tower in Paris, having won re-election, the first French president to do so in almost 2 decades. It comes, though, as voter turnout was down and Marine Le Pen did well, getting 4 out of every 10 French voters to back her. But ultimately, Emmanuel Macron re-elected with a bigger margin than many had expected. In saying that, he did recognise the difficult challenge he now faces as the French president in his second term. He said that Le Pen voters were angry, and it will be his responsibility to respond. I am no longer a candidate, he said, I am president. But he wanted to thank those who voted for him over Le Pen, saying, I know full well that many people voted tonight for me, not for my support, not for my ideas, but to block the far right.
Boris Johnson has described Russia's aggression towards Ukraine as nauseating during a call with UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. The comment was made just a day before Mr. Guterres travels to Moscow for talks with President Putin. President Zelensky has been critical of the United Nations chief for choosing to visit Russia before he travels to Kyiv. Earlier, Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister blamed Russian forces for not establishing humanitarian corridors out of Mariupol today, urging the United Nations to step in. Men aged 60 plus are being urged to take free bowel cancer tests by Health Secretary Sajid Javid. The NHS says that just 1 in 20 men go to the doctor if they experience any symptoms. Men are also less likely to take up preventative screening than women do. More than 16,000 people die from the disease every year. And the government is launching a review into women's football with the aim of bringing it more in line with the men's game. Following a fan-led review published last year, the study will focus on commercialisation of the sport, spectator support and media interest. It comes ahead of a summer of high-profile women's football, with England set to host the Women's Euro 2022 finals. On TV, online and on DAB+ radio, this is GB News. Now let's get back to Mark Dolan tonight.
Very excited, just chatting to the darts legend, frankly, the British national treasure that is Bobby George. But first, we've got some selfies because it's Selfie Sunday. I want to get to know you better. I want to see you. This show is all about you and nothing else. So here's Patrick. Oh, look at that. Giving me the thumbs up. Thank you. I hope my tie was straight for that photograph, Patrick. This is Richard. We're going to load up Richard, who is watching GB News on a yacht. Lucky you, Rich. What lovely weather. That doesn't look like Southport. And finally, Andrew. There you go. Look at that. What a fine, handsome devil of a man. A gingham shirt, smart blue glasses. Andrew, good job. Keep those selfies coming. It's Selfie Sunday, Mark at gbnews.uk. It's time now for Mark Meets, in which I speak to the biggest names in the world of politics, showbiz, sport and beyond. And tonight, one of the biggest and most successful characters in professional darts. Bobby George. A genius on the arrows, Bobby earned the title the King of Darts after winning a slew of major tournaments. And Bobby doesn't do modesty. Why would you? Famous for his occasionally making an entrance to the stage bedecked in jewellery, whilst wearing a crown and cloak, accompanied by the song We Are the Champions. No pressure. After leaving school, Bobby had various jobs, including nightclub bouncer and floor layer. And astonishingly, it wasn't until the age of 30 that he first tried out with darts. And the rest is history. Yes, folks, we've hit the bullseye tonight. This is bigger than a 180. Because live in the studio, we're joined by the one and the only Bobby George. Bobby, welcome to the show.
Pleasure, Mark. Pleasure.
Who introduced you to darts?
As a guy, I went fishing. How I got into darts, I couldn't see the point in. I used to watch him in the pub. I thought, what's that all about? Good hit, Joe, well done, here's a pint for you. You know, I thought. And I went fishing, King Sale in Ireland.
Oh, nice.
You know,
yeah, beautiful place. Yeah, my dad's from Cavan and my mum's from Louth.
Oh, right. And there's a hotel right in the harbour there, King Sale.
Okay.
And we got on the boat, up and down. Oh, terrible. Had to come out. Couldn't, all over the side.
You didn't catch anything a bit sick?
Oh, terrible. So we come in, couldn't go out. And there's a pub called the Lobster Pot. It's still actually there. Yeah. And my mate Malcolm Ellis, he said, let's have a game of darts. And I said, well, I don't play darts, Malcolm, you know that. He said, well, have a go. I went, all right, give me a set of darts, and started throwing them. And he said, how do you do that? I said, what do you mean? So I've been playing about 16 years and I can't... He'd say, treble 18, I think, where's that? And I might get it, see? Double 16, I'm looking for it. Well, you do if you're learning, don't you?
Of course.
Because the counting is a different game. Counting is another game, but part of the game, the darts.
Yeah.
Boom, you've got to take it up, he said. I said, well, if I take it up, I'll be the best in the world, I said to him. He went, oh, yeah. When I think about it, I must have thought, right, big-headed.
Were you joking, or did you have a feeling that you could be good at this?
I just said it because anything I'd done, I had to be the pop star at it.
Right, so that was your nature, all or nothing?
I've tried everything, and I like to do the best I can in anything I do, you know? Yeah. Anyway, so he said, well, we went locally. I'll come and watch. He said, come and watch all the local players. I come and watch their finals, and I thought, well, they're not that good. I'm definitely going to beat these guys. This is what I thought. And I only just flew for 2 days. Anyway, I joined the Super League and I won it. I won the Super League.
How long had you been playing darts at that point? A few months?
Not even just over a month or so, I suppose.
That's got to be unheard of in the world of darts, hasn't it?
Well, the guy that ran it, he's not with us now. Johnny Squires, his name was.
Chloe, come over. We've got a beer for you because it's very important when we have a VIP like you in the studio that you get proper refreshment. Our brilliant floor manager, Chloe, has brought you in a cold Peroni. Thank you, Chloe. Really appreciate that. And if anyone's earned their beer, you have. So okay, this can't be normal to play darts for a few weeks and then win a tournament.
Well, I couldn't count, obviously. That's the problem I had.
Was that an issue with your education, that you weren't good at arithmetic?
No, dartboard, you're very good. You're obviously journalistic, you're clever, quick.
I wouldn't go that far.
But when a dartboard, you'll be lost. Too many combinations to know.
Yeah, and you've got to subtract and all the rest of it, right?
Yeah, so it's not that easy.
So what you're saying is even if you're all right at maths, there's a particular sort of mental method that you simply have to learn.
The more times you do it, the easier it becomes. So you learn a shot and you do that shot 10, 15 times a night. Yeah. And then when you're in a tournament, I know what way to go, triple 15, double 8. Yeah. You don't count. It's memory of numbers. I could ask you your telephone number. Yeah. Or tell me a number.
Well, let's have a drink first. Let's not rush this.
No, don't. Right. And you'll say as quick as you can. So a number of this, say the works number, God's sake.
Oh, yeah, exactly. God knows. I wouldn't 0207. I forget the rest.
Right. But if you don't know all the time, you don't see the numbers.
Yes.
You say it automatically.
Absolutely.
When you do maths, you do it once, you got it in it. It's like the computer, if your brain can absorb that.
Yeah.
So you learn to count, which is difficult. It was.
So that was your real weak spot early doors. It wasn't actually the technique of throwing a dart, it was just the...
Counting can make you win or lose.
Wow.
The way you go gives you more chances on the dartboard. If you go one way, you can't finish.
It's very strategic, like a game of chess.
Yeah, it's not that easy to do. Anyway, he told me one way to go, see? You stand behind me, boom, boom, and I win it. I thought. So this bloke, Johnny Squires, said that's a fluke. That's just a fluke. I said, all right. So I went to the Essex Masters. Because I won that, it gave you a chance to go in the Essex Masters. So I went with my mate Malcolm, and I won the Essex Masters. I thought, I can't wait to get back in the pub. See? So I go in the Maypole Park inside it was. Got the trophy in the car, up the bar. Yeah, who won it, he said. He said, Bobby won. Robert, didn't call me Bobby. Rob won it. Oh, yeah. No, he won the Super. That's a fluke. No, he said he won the best Essex Masters. Joking. So I can't get the trophy. What are you drinking, he said. He could change completely. What are you drinking? Because I was in his team, wasn't I? I was the main man then, but quick as anything. I done it quick. Weird, isn't it?
And then how long did it take for you to make that decision that it would be your living?
I didn't make that to do that. I didn't actually say I'm going to be a professional dart player. People made me.
So at that point, with that first win, it was still a hobby, really?
Yeah, but I was laying granite floors then, so I'll be travelling the country.
So you'd still go back to work laying floors?
Would I?
With that win, you weren't suddenly... you didn't suddenly chuck in the day job?
Oh, no. I still done it, because laying the floor, especially in the winter time, it doesn't set quick enough, so you can go in the pub and play till it sets. So you're doing your job and you're practising at the same time.
Right.
So
did you say to customers, I'm just popping out to get some more glue or something?
No.
Little did they know. I need some nails.
I remember I played in a pub in Aylesbury called the John Kennedy, because it's an unusual name. And it was, you hit a 180 and you get a pint.
Oh.
So I hit a 180, pint, another 180, pint. After 2 days, he said, just get the drinks when you want it. It's funny, it was.
Brilliant.
Yeah. But it's a game, it's a family game, darts. It's fun, competitive, but it's one big family. So it doesn't matter where you go in the world, someone, if they play darts, you don't have to talk the lingo.
Yeah.
Because the game's the same. I've been to countries that can't even talk to me, but I play darts just the same, and you get the humour out the game. So it is a great... I'm so privileged to do it. I got there quick. And that's when I started to, then I won the News of the World, what was the World Championship.
Which was massive, yeah.
I got to the final the year before, the finals, got beat, a bit upset about that, because it takes a long while to get there, News of the World. You don't just play that night.
No.
It takes nearly 10 months to qualify.
Is that right?
And then you get to the finals, and it's 8 foot, which is, well, we used to play it for, but they don't play it for now. They play 7'9.25", metric measurements, nearer. And it was a wooden board soaked in water, a wooden board, elm board, with the wires on, tiny little trebles, shiny wires, and that was it. Not like it is today, all nice and pretty and, game on.
Was it a harder board to penetrate back in the day?
The best board in the world to play darts on is an elm board. Because they never came out your darts, never fell out. If you soaked the board, it would never come out your darts. They just stick in.
And have the wires changed at all over the years?
The wires are thinner, and I said the trebles are bigger. Now I've made dart balls with Winmore, which is the biggest company in the world, and I make dart balls, so I know. They said because the wires are smaller, so the trebles look bigger. I said the target is in between the wires. You could have 1/4-inch wires, the target's in between. It's a sales technique. The bigger the treble, the more 180s you get, it's good. It's good for the game. So they make them bigger than they were when I played. So the first time I played them, I thought, where's the goalkeeper, to be honest with you? They're that big, you need a goalkeeper for the shield.
Well, that's exactly right. It's fascinating that you had that early success. It sounds to me like a gambler that gets an early win and becomes hooked. Like you got the bug and you're a very all-or-nothing person, very determined. So you continue to lay floors for a while, sneaking out at lunchtime to practice in the pub.
Yeah.
How many more years did you do that before you actually went fully professional?
76, I would say just under about 2 years. 78, I won the North American Open and a lot of tournaments, and I won a lot of money in America because you used to play money racing. Now, money racing, the guy's good, and he'd pay you for $1,000.
I see.
Or $2,000 or $3,000. So if you're good, you put your money where your mouth is. And
like the movie The Hustler, but for darts?
Well, not the Hustler, because he knows you're a good player, but he thinks he's better.
Right.
And you have to prove he's not. And when you play with the bees and honey, it's more pressure and you learn to play darts. We learn playing darts under pressure by playing for money.
Yeah, because that really matters. That's jeopardy.
That is. Well, it's nice to win a trophy, but how much you win as well.
Yeah.
You can't eat a trophy, can you? You know what I mean?
I wouldn't recommend it. So you've obviously been at the top of darts for decades. What is the difference between a very good darts player and a champion?
Well, I think it's who you draw in the tournament. It's probably 25% who you draw, 25% luck, and the 50% down to yourself. And if you don't take your chance, then you don't win. It's a width of a Y, it's a couple of mil, can make you a champion or not.
Yeah.
And you can play and practice for hours and hours, but if you can't get over that line, you get a bit bored with the game because there's no reward. You're runner-up, you get something. But it's a lovely feeling to hit the double and be a champion of any Open, any game. So I would say to people that play, you can't think, you're going to be a champion straight away because there's not many of us done that. But I've been fortunate enough to go into darts, win, and then the people asked me to come to their clubs and pubs. I didn't say I was going to be a dart player. They said, how much do you charge for exhibition? I said, well, I used to be at Leighton Reese last month. How much was he, you say, for him? 200 quid. I said, I'll charge the same. I I look in my diary, I said. I didn't. And then it built up. I went to that pub, or that club, and it built up and built up and built up, especially in Wales. First exhibition I done was in Wales, Bridge End. And the Welsh are very good. If you're going to be good, they give you the order. And I like working in Wales because they're good dart players, Welsh people.
And what about your emotions and your mental state when you're on that last dart and you need a double top, or you need a bullseye, or you need a treble? How do you handle that pressure when this is a throw that could change your life?
Yeah, I've been down that road, but I never thought of it the way you did. Similar. It's like, I'll give you an example. I'll play for Hainault Super League, Hainault. Right.
I'm glad you rephrased that one.
Right.
Family show, Bobby, please.
Hainault.
I don't know about the Anal Super League. I'm sure they have a great time of it.
Hainault Super League. The caller would say, the MC, Hainault require 40. Hainault, boom, game shot. Next week, I'm playing for England. England requires 40. That's a different ball game.
Yeah.
Same game, same double, same treble. But deep breath, don't miss it. Whatever you do, don't miss it. You say in your mind, don't miss it. But when you're playing tournaments, you don't say that. You just throw it. Boom, boom, boom. You just do it.
So you don't allow nerves to come into it?
No, you get a bit nervous. I'd be lying if I said I didn't get nervous. You get nervous at the beginning when you walk on the stage, and especially me with candles and all glittery, and I've got to play pretty good. Look, a clown, you've got to be good, haven't you? So, but you do get nervous, but as soon as you play, the nerves go. I don't get nervous now, but I did when I first started, obviously.
How much practice is involved?
Hell of a lot. That is it. Boring. Practicing is very boring. You've got to walk up and down, your timing, it's your timing. See, a lot of people throw darts, take the darts out, walk back, throw the darts. Well, you don't do that when you're playing. You throw the darts, walk back, you wait for the other guy to throw. So you've got a 14 to 16 seconds wait before you throw, so your muscle memory is the same. You control the game, so you've got all that to learn. There's a lot more in it.
And that would be, what, 2 or 3 hours a day?
Yeah, I think today they have to do that. Because they're on the road all the time, maybe 3 or 4 hours a day. Now, it doesn't sound much when you work on a garage or something, but you walk up and down for 4 hours.
Concentrated work.
Every day, you know, and you've got to play, you've got to think, because all you do is defeat gravity when you throw a dart. Yeah. So you've got to throw the same to defeat gravity and hit the target. So I can teach people to play, but they've got to practice. You can't learn it in...
Have a sip of beer, because I want to ask you about alcohol. There was that famous sketch by the comedy double act Smith and Jones. Do you remember it? Which was very funny.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was funny. And this involved two brilliant comedians dressed up as darts players with a fake belly, a cigarette and a pint, and they got increasingly more drunk as they played.
And they got better drinking.
Well, exactly. And some people, obviously lots of people found it hilarious. Some people thought that it was actually a very snobby sketch about darts. It brought the game into disrepute. What was your view? I mean, because I think darts, right, is just an unbelievable sport. It's such a great spectator sport. I think it's a great telly sport. I love the way that they split the screen, and I love the zoom in for the double 20 or the bullseye. So I think it's great on the box, and it's great live. And I think it's an amazing skill. But do you think there is snobbery about darts?
Well, not so much now, but 40 years ago there was. You know, beer bellies and all this game, and fat guys. All right, Leighton Reach was a bit heavy, but not all dart players were fat. A bit like you. It's nice and slim, or like me, semi-fat.
Look, it's all muscle. Look at those abs.
So it's a little bit of snobbery. There was then, but not now. There's more people playing the game, more people that work in offices, and especially in London, the Flight Club in London is brilliant.
Which is a chain of bars where you can basically sign up. You buy a couple of hours and you just play on a darts board.
That's the one.
With your friends.
Yeah, you've been there?
Yeah, and it's a great night out.
And it does the chalking for you.
Yeah.
Because the cameras, like the moon cameras, the guy who invented the moon cameras invented that.
Is that right?
Yeah, and they've got blue on them, haven't they?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. It's all electronic.
Yeah, you throw it and it can pick that blue up, and it's perfect.
That's exactly right.
Clever,
and it's very accurate. Yeah, it's called the
Flight. I think it's great.
Flight Club. Yeah, I broke a couple of windows, I have to say, but I know Bobby George.
But you don't have to be good to playing that, because your chalking's done for. A lot of people get shy because they can't chalk. So if you chalk a game before you play, they don't want to make themselves look foolish.
Yeah.
But you've got to learn to chalk to play darts. I learned to play darts, then learned to chalk, which I was lucky.
And darts is a very egalitarian sport. Anyone can play it. You just need a board. So that's great, isn't it? It's fantastic for people of all backgrounds. And it's massive among women now. Female darts is huge, isn't it?
Well, there's some great lady players. There was, obviously, but there's more ladies playing now. So the more ladies playing, the better the standing gets. And there's some good lady players now, really good.
Yeah.
So it's good for the game.
Did someone teach you darts, or are you self-taught?
Self-taught.
Really?
I didn't know, but I throw like this.
Okay.
Right? No one throws like that.
No.
Everyone throws like that. But on the television, I didn't know till I watched myself and said, oh, it's weird. I throw from me left eye with my right hand. But it works.
It turned out pretty well. I wouldn't change the winning formula. And what about some of the characters of the sport? Sadly, no longer with us. Eric Bristow.
Yeah, Eric,
a legend.
yes. Shane. Yeah, I was
Really
with him that
sad.
day he died, Eric.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were doing the Premier League and I'd done the first show and he'd done the late show. And he done it and fell down, just had a heart attack and that was it.
Yeah, a true legend and a really nice guy. I did encounter him for a short interview and he was an absolute gentleman. How about dartitis, which I think he suffered from? That's the most fascinating condition. Can you describe what dartitis is?
Well, you get the dart and your brain's not telling your body to release the dart. You're not sure if it's going to be in the right place.
So you can't quite let go of the dart?
You can't let go of it. Bowlers have it, bowlers have it.
Right.
Can't let go of the ball.
A few Spurs players
Even
have it.
guys who play golf have it. I've got it. It's called money-itis. When it's my round, I can't get my hand out of my pocket.
Yeah, funny that,
Just
isn't it?
keep going like that, I do, yeah.
Yeah, you're getting the next one tonight, by the way.
But that's a terrible thing. He had that for a long while. That ruined him, really. When he got dartitis, he did. I think he did win some tournament abroad, and then after that, he found it really difficult. I knew Eric when he was 17, 18 years old.
What a career he had, but what a career you've had. Before we go, let's talk about the showbiz element, because you're a great-looking guy, and you understood that darts was an entertainment sort of thing.
I did,
and therefore you started to wear amazing jewellery. You go on stage with a robe, with a crown, holding a candelabra.
Yeah, well, actually, what I'd done, in the first World Championship I was in, I thought, I'll wear some glitter, like the ice skaters. I took it from the ice skaters.
Right. Torval and Dean, that sort of thing.
You got it. Trousers I'd done, all glitter on them, PG and all glitter.
Yeah.
And as I walked on the stage, Bill Skips, he was a video official, he came out and gave me a candelabra with 20 lit-up candles. And I put them on the stage, everyone lit their cigarettes up, lighters up.
Brilliant.
And that's how it came about, and I thought, that's weird. So I had to have the candles every time I went to play. And the glittery shirts. Then I had the music. See, no one done the music till I did.
We Are the Champions.
We Are the Champions. I asked the BBC, said, you can do it. So I asked the BDO, and they said, yeah. So I come out, We Are the Champions, not me. You've got to listen to the words, you see. And it made everyone had singing along with it.
Yeah.
Well, it makes a party. It's theatrical more, isn't it? Yeah. So me with the diamonds and the gold and the glitter, I've done it. I'm scruffy. I don't wear this all the time. I've got a bib and bracelet and army boots, me. But that's a part of my image. And I've done it to get recognised.
Yeah.
And I did get recognised.
Yeah. Is there a part of you that quite liked putting pressure on yourself, that you'd create this great spectacle?
Well, I remember Ollie Cross saying to me, you're not going on stage dressed like that, are you? He was in charge of the BDO. I said, yeah. He said, don't you think you got enough pressure on you? I said, no. I didn't feel the pressure playing, but I thought, well, I've got to do an advert, haven't I? When I'm on the television, television's a great thing to be on. It'll either make you or it can break you.
Tell me about it.
You could say the wrong word, the wrong place, the wrong person, or you can play bad darts. You get upset and playing, the crowd hate you. So it's all, So I thought, well, if I go on there and I talk sense when I say something and don't swear. The little man in the head said, don't swear, Bob. And you heard him, have you?
I'm glad he's in charge.
So I just wore the glitter, the diamonds and all that game, to get known.
Well, I think it proves two things. It proves that you're an entertainer and that you understood that darts was an entertainment spectacle, and you're a winner.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Mark, because a lot of dart players didn't like me doing that. They said it's not a circus. I said, but you've got to make a show of it. Now look at it now. If you didn't have the music in darts, you wouldn't look at it.
No.
People dress up. It's a party atmosphere. They're all singing. It's great. I think it's great. I love it. I do.
Do you still play?
Yeah. Still play.
Do you still enjoy it?
Yeah, I still enjoy it, yeah.
The greatest honour to have you on.
I don't play, I choose what I do.
Can I shake the hand that scored so many points?
Yeah, right. Can I shake the hand that's wrote so many points?
Oh, well, I don't know about that. Exactly. I made a few. You're right there. Bobby George, an honour to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Perhaps you'd like to come back and join us on the panel.
Yeah, why
because
not?
I know you've got a few opinions about the news as well.
Oh, right. Well done.
Let's do that.
All the best.
You won't be censored on this show. The remarkable Bobby George. Thank you so much, Bobby. Lots more to come in the news agenda with my fantastic panel. After this, we'll talk about Angela Rayner. Has she been flirting with Boris Johnson? Is politics now sexist? And also, does spelling matter? We'll have a live spelling competition with my panel next. See you shortly.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr. Me and my panel will get stuck right into the day's events, and I can tell you, in fact, I can warn you, expect some robust debates, some strong opinions and perspectives from both sides of the fence. It's about you at home as well. I love to read out all of your comments, or at least as many as I can. So join me, Michelle Dewberry, Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr.
On radio, they call it the drive time slot, 4 p.m. until 6 p.m. as listeners head home. It's that part of the schedule when the dust of the day's events begin to clarify, and we try to make sense of it for you. Brazier is drive time for radio and TV. It's fast, it's punchy, it's opinionated, there's a Brazier angle and a little bit of levity.
That's the question. That's two questions, actually.
That's Brazier, Monday to Thursday, 4 till 6 on GB News.
Hello, I'm Patrick Christie's.
And I'm Mercy Moroki.
Make sure that you join us Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. until midday, right here on GB News for To The Point.
We're not afraid to talk about the topics that matter to you or the big topics that always matter.
We cover absolutely everything, from the breaking political stories of the day to law and order, what's going on in the channel. We're not afraid to hold people to account.
We always make sure we include your views on our show.
Indeed, if you're thinking it, you can guarantee that we're saying it. So make sure you join the conversation with us, 10 a.m. until midday, Monday to Thursday for To The Point on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Well, lots to get through in the next half hour of the show. I'm delighted to welcome back my amazing panel. Of course, he is a radio and Fleet Street legend, an icon of journalism. It's none other than Mike Porky Parry, and also former government minister, 5 Live presenter, best-selling author. She's done it all. It's Edwina Currie. And lawyer, entrepreneur and broadcaster supreme, Rebecca Jane. And electric car skeptic. She has accepted that invitation to go to Edwina's in Derbyshire and try out the Tesla. How exciting. Let's hope it's fully charged. I know the conversation will be. Speaking of fully charged, shall we talk briefly about Angela Rayner, who has been in the news? Sexism in Parliament has hit the headlines. That's after this report in the Mail newspaper, which claimed that Labour's deputy leader, Angela Rayner, crosses and uncrosses her legs in Parliament in a basic instinct-type attempt to distract the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. Now, if you want some detail on this, Basic Instinct, starring Sharon Stone, included a scene in which she crossed her legs in front of police officers and she was not wearing any knickers. That's the story. Well, Angela Rayner has dismissed the report as nonsense, with many blasting the story as pure misogyny. But it begs the question, do politics and sex mix? Edwina, you're a former politician. What's your view?
It depends on the circumstances.
Has its place, doesn't it?
It has its place, of course it does. I mean, I don't feel sorry for Angela Rayner. I don't think she's in any way a victim. She has fought back very hard on Twitter. She has put in, multiple comments and all the rest of it. And she's not a natural victim anyway, so I don't think we should worry like that. The Mail on Sunday story quoted, well, it didn't quote, it said there were several backbench Tory MPs. I would say, if there are, name them. I don't think there are. I think it's an entirely made-up story. I think it's something that was, well, you're the expert on what gets made up.
Well, no,
that's a withering.
I mean that as a compliment.
That's a withering. It's a withering but accurate statement.
Excuse me, I have been a very proud member of Her Majesty's Gutter Press for a good 30 or 40 years.
Seeker of truth and justice.
But, seeker of truth and justice. But you don't make things up. I think there is an element of truth in this story because if you look at where it's sourced from Angela Rayner being on the terrace, which you know very well, Edmina, OK, having a few drinks in the sunshine and actually having a laugh and a shout and saying, I do it to work up Boris. I think there's a seed of truth there, and I'm not saying that Ms Rayner has not been altogether frank and honest, but I think Ms Rayner's a very attractive woman. She's got very nice legs. And
she shows them.
And she shows them, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if that, by the way, Boris Johnson is distracted by women. We know that. Just look at his track record with women. He does get distracted by women all the time. In his marriage and everything else. And, he's got children, and we're not sure how many he's got. So if she's doing that, I admire her. I think, and she's got flame-coloured hair, a bit like Rebecca's here, you know what I mean? So it would catch the attention of anybody.
I think we should see if it works. Why don't you... You've got the most gorgeous legs, Rebecca.
I wonder. Let's move this table out the way.
I've got jeans on, there's no point.
And nobody wants to see me cross or uncross my legs, so there's no problem there.
No, in the end, it is so ridiculous.
Why is it ridiculous?
It's ridiculous, because what Parliament should be talking about, what the newspaper should be reporting on, is some of the serious issues of the day.
Yeah, but I agree with that, and that's why I get phased about Partygate. It's such a waste of time. But I think it's a lovely little vignette.
Not a waste of time.
Lovely little vignette of the way Parliament works. It's another little trick, But,
Edwina, you were in Parliament for many years. Is it a sexist place?
It certainly was when I was there. But you had to learn to kind of let it wash over you and take no notice and so on. I mean, in the end, the women members of Parliament, whichever party they're in, they're there for what's going on in here. And that's the point at which, actually, if you start worrying about what you look like or what they're saying about you, you're a waste of space. You're there to look after 80,000
Well, Mrs Thatcher used to worry about what she looked like all the time.
Yeah, but not in a sexy way, more in a presentable way.
No, I wouldn't say so.
Really?
Hers was a power play.
Right, OK.
Oh, my God. And in fact, the moment that Spitting Image showed her as the best man in the cabinet, she started to change what she wore, and she had mannish suits, and she had hair done more as a sort of helmet. Oh, my God, yes, she turned into Boadicea, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh.
So, no, that's a different kind of power play. What you're asking is about how it is for people in Parliament. If you, as an MP, are thinking all the time about are they looking at me, are they looking at my legs or whatever, you should be doing a different kind of job, because your job is to look after the people who elected you and to make sure that their lives improve in whatever way you can.
But she's trying to destabilise the Prime Minister at the dispatch box. Surely that's a political tactic, isn't it?
Well, that's the allegation which she has denied.
It's an allegation she's denied, but what I'm saying is, if it's ever proven to be true, I don't blame her. I think it's a good tactic.
Basically, you use all of the weapons at your disposal.
Of course you do. Everything God gave you, you should use to try and improve yourself and destabilise those that you don't like. So I think it's a great story.
RJ.
Do you know what I've got a problem with? Why do we assume that everything a female does is directed for a male's benefit, whatever it is? This really gripes me, that because obviously I am somebody that pays attention to my appearance, I put in far too much effort. It is for no male's attention whatsoever. It is in case I go past the mirror and I see something that I don't like, I put the effort in for me. And everything that women do, for me, always constantly seems to come across like we think it's for a man's benefit. Get lost. You weren't doing it for Boris's benefit whatsoever.
But you like impressing people, Rebecca, don't you? You like people to look at you and admire you and to think, golly, you look great.
First of all, you are a very, very beautiful lady, and so is Edwina. Are you dressed so wonderfully tonight for Mike Parry? Well, Mike...
Always!
Well, I hadn't thought of that.
He's gutted. Can I say he's gutted not to be sat next to you?
Well, look, you're insinuating there that I don't like sitting next to Edwina, but I do like sitting next to Edwina.
You're spoilt for choice tonight.
Magnificently turned out woman, as Rebecca is, and I feel humbled to be in the company of two such good-looking human beings.
Well, I think we've got a couple of chaps for you to look at, because some would think that this story about Angela Rayner was sexist or misogynistic, so we thought we'd balance things out by looking at some male politicians who are considered to be hotties.
OK, I'm ready.
So we're going to play a special game, and it's called That's What I Call a Member. And we'll start with Dishy Rishi himself, Rishi Sunak.
Oh, yes, please.
No.
Definitely.
Although you don't like the fact that he's using fossil fuels, I would have thought, Edwina. Should be a...
given how much money he's got in the bank.
And he's only 5'4", apparently, isn't he?
Petrol station.
He is. He's filling up the Kia.
No. This was when
that was a fake picture.
The petrol tax was reduced.
That's right, at the mini budget in March.
What a token piece of nonsense.
How about, we're told that Tobias Ellwood is quite the hottie.
Who?
And he's the chair, I think, of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee, or Defence Select Committee, I think. A very nice man. I've interviewed him a few times. Rebecca, yay or nay?
Absolutely not.
That's very harsh.
Sorry.
How about Keir Starmer, Leader of the Opposition? Mr Darcy himself.
I wouldn't even notice if he was in the bedroom.
Mr Wood.
Well, if he gets Wood, that's at least one selling point. How about Ed Miliband? Now, listen, would you believe that Ed Miliband is an unlikely pin-up?
I think...
For whom?
No.
Well, a handful of women, I think.
No.
Yeah. But there was a story floating around that people were having a Miliband crush when he was Leader of the Opposition.
No, only if he's eating a bacon sandwich badly.
How about, in the name of balance, the Lib Dem leader, Sir Ed Davey? Knight of the Realm, Edwina?
No.
Would you like him to bend before you?
No.
I think you've seriously scraped the barrel.
Really? With poor heads? I want him to come on the show.
I prefer vote winners on the whole.
Ooh, harsh but fair. How about this chap? Is he bringing anything to the party?
He used to.
Moving swiftly on.
In your day, Edwina.
That was our little game of...
The guy who I thought stole all women's hearts in Parliament was Cecil Parkinson, wasn't it? Wasn't he the debonair and, you know...
Well, Margaret Thatcher had a bad habit, I think, of promoting good-looking men.
Jonathan Aitken, Cecil Parkinson.
John Moore is the obvious one that nobody's ever heard of.
Heseltine?
Absolutely useless.
Heseltine? Do you think she had a shine?
No, Heseltine thought he was better than she was.
And that would have been a problem. You have, of course, in your best-selling diaries, you've written about a brief friendship with John Major. Isn't that an example of somebody that perhaps at first glance is not necessarily a heartthrob, but has a magnetic charm? And isn't that what a lot of these politicians bring to the party?
First of all, it wasn't that brief. It was about 3.5, 4 years.
Yeah, Mark.
No brief encounter.
It probably had more to do with sympathetic friendships in work, which a lot of people get involved in, and you're in for a while maybe, and then at one point somebody says, no, either this is too dangerous, or your family becomes more important. So it ends in that way. Was it about magnetic charm? No, because people with magnetic charm can be so arrogant and such a pain, and they're not interested in anybody else. They're fine, Mark, as long as you're admiring them.
Oh, yes. It's all on their terms.
It's all on their terms, whereas I'm the other way around.
But sort of Willie Whitelaw, for instance, wouldn't have exactly had either magnetic attraction or anything else, would he? But a vital member of Mrs Thatcher's team.
He was a lovely man, and he always made everybody feel... important while he was with them and talking to them. Well, Willie Whitelaw was a great guy.
Yeah.
And he'd had a great war record.
Yes, exactly.
Seriously brave.
And an important stabilising influence on the Thatcher government. And Thatcher relied hugely on him for his wisdom,
She did.
his wise
actually,
counsel.
After he retired, things started to go slightly wrong. A little bit like, well, Putin. Anyone that's been in power for a long, long time, they tend to get rid of or lose the people who stood up to them, who were there right from the beginning, and are surrounded in the end by people who only say, yes, of course, you're absolutely right, and the thing starts to go badly wrong.
Briefly, Rebecca Jane, is power attractive, whether it's a politician or a CEO or a celebrity or in your world, perhaps a judge or a top lawyer?
Oh, I've not come. Oh, I have come across a decent judge. Yes, absolutely.
Did he have a nice wig?
Mark.
How about an indecent judge?
Yes, power is one of my favourite things, and authority as well. Got me into many a difficult situation. Because, you know, even people that I'm not even attracted to, over time, seeing power can turn you attracted to them. It's a very unfortunate situation.
Yes, well, I have it, and I try not to abuse it. Let's have a look at some selfies before we get to our next amazing News Agenda story. It is Selfie Sunday, so here's lovely Tina. There we are. Very, very nice. And she's got the candles on and a glass of what looks like nice bubbly. Congratulations, Tina. What a great option for a Sunday night. This is Claire. Oh, Claire.
Oh, my God. No, that's not
I wish I could do that.
No, that's come out of a holiday.
Looks like
brochure.
Sophia Loren. But, well, look, Claire, congratulations. You've obviously been off the carbs for a few weeks. And how about Matt? Thank you, Matt, for watching the show. And there you go. I'm lit up in the background like some kind of second coming. Matthew, thank you for sending that in. Thanks, Tina and Claire, as well. Now, what's your spelling like? Are you a former spelling bee champion or someone who can't live without autocorrect, which is software on your phone or computer, which literally corrects your spelling? Well, prior to Brooklyn Beckham and Nicola Peltz's star-studded wedding, the young couple took to British Vogue's Mr. and Mrs. Vogue column, where they were quizzed on a number of questions about each other, including what part of the wedding is Nicola most excited about, to which Brooklyn, David Beckham's son, wrote, "Marrying me," but with just one R. That's right, marrying, M-A-R-Y-I-N-G, me. Like Emily Prescott wrote in her Mail on Sunday column today, let's hope it was Nicola Peltz writing the thank you letters, not Brooklyn. But does spelling matter, Rebecca Jane? You're a woman of letters.
Absolutely it does. Was somebody taking the mick when they gave us our briefing?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it was tongue-in-cheek.
Because somebody spelt spelling with one L and we all noticed.
Well, that's right. I think we're going to flash it up on the screen as well.
Yeah,
it's not quite April Fool's, but yeah, we had a little strap set up for Does Spelling Matter? Does it?
It's attention to detail. And if you're missing this kind of stuff, you know, unless you've got some kind of difficulty in that area, then it means that you don't care.
Yeah, for sure.
Pay attention.
What do you think, Edwina? The world is changing. If your phone fixes your spelling, why worry about it?
Because it gets it wrong. I mean, if I tap in "and" incorrectly, what comes up is abs. My phone is obsessed with abs. I'm not obsessed with abs.
Right, yeah.
And and if I tap in "for," it comes up as fur. And a picture of a tree appears. I mean, for heaven's sake, please, if I could switch off autocorrect, I would. And somebody's probably going to tell me how to do it. Yeah. I agree with Rebecca. I think it's not just attention to detail. If you know anything about language, it's wonderful. There is a history in every single word and how it's spelled and how it got to be like that. That said, language is changing all the time, so we're very blessed in English that it does keep changing and that we're able to adapt.
Do you think we should be stricter with spelling at school, though? Because there's quite a lot of pressure now on teachers not to penalise students for getting their spelling wrong.
There's a lot of pressure on teachers not to penalise students for getting anything wrong. And the end result of that is they get it wrong constantly. And then they're very puzzled when they get into the real world, into the outside world, as to why people get cross with them. And the answer is because you're getting it wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Michael, you are, of course, a writer. You've written several books. You've been a hack for decades. Does spelling matter?
Absolutely. The first rule of journalism, when you got in there, was getting everything right. So this is to send you to funerals, OK? So on your local weekly paper, you got the funeral of some distinguished local person, and they might have 60, like, mourners at the funeral, and you had to spell every single name of anyone. And this is in rural Cheshire, where some of them might have been Lord Chumley, spelt Cholmondeley. Yeah, Cholmondeley, you mean, of, you know, Knutsford or something like that.
With a K.
Yeah, exactly. And if you got one letter wrong in those 60 names that you put down, your status, your rating at the paper went right down to the floor. You had to get times right, places right, names right, dates right, descriptions right. And if you didn't, it jeopardised your journalistic career.
Well, it's your job. Journalism.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. But these days, of course, you've got to remember that the copy is now sent, copy being writing your story. We used to have to go back to a little office and type it out like that and then hand it to a guy called a sub-editor. These days, you send it on a screen that corrects the spelling for you.
Yeah, I mean, my spelling is reasonable. It's not great, and my grammar's pretty awful, if I'm being honest. A bestseller, and the motto of the story was, "Don't worry about it. You've got an editor for a reason."
Yeah.
Except you don't have editors these days. They're thin,
I don't mean
thin
you
on
do.
the ground.
I think you're right.
I might just be getting special treatment.
Anyway, that's not an editor, that's a copy editor.
I mean, I've got two sons, 16 and 12, and I don't think they get enough spelling tests at school. Do your kids get spelling tests?
And my eldest, she's actually really good. She's far more intelligent than I've ever been, but her spelling's pretty atrocious. It really winds me up, even when she's texting me. I'm like, what is this? I'm not replying to you until you spell that right.
Yeah.
I'm harsh.
We used to get stars for spelling. We used to have
Yes,
an
that's right.
incentive.
5 gold stars, yeah. I won the spelling test, actually, at my junior school. I won the reading test because I had such a beautiful voice. So I was always destined, to be a master of the language, really.
Once a master, always a master. Well, we've got a game for our panel tonight. How good is their spelling? So, Michael, look, I'm going to tell you that it puts everyone on the spot. Sometimes when you're under pressure, you can't even spell, the word
your own name?
she or your own name. But see what you can do with this.
Yes.
And we won't judge you, but this is the word embarrassed.
Embarrassed is EMBARASSED.
OK, have we got a graphic of that, folks? Can we take a look? Can we verify that? The voices in my ear say you get full points. EMBARRASSED.
Thank you. Excuse me, Edwina,
Fake news.
I did not.
I heard. Did you not say 2 R's?
I definitely said 2 R's. Definitely. Come on, your editors.
Stewards' inquiry.
We're listening.
They were listening.
Listening.
However, Edwina, perhaps you can beat Mike into a cocked hat with this particular word, which is accommodation.
ACCOMMAD. No, accommodation. ACCOMMODATION.
Let's have a look. Is the right answer ACCOMMOD?
No, you said 2 Ds. You said 2 Ds.
We said the third go, she did it.
He's a little tinker, that one.
You see? See, she said 2 Ds.
And Rebecca, last but not least, in our live spelling thing, will you be the weak link in the chain? I'm sure not. And we've got onomatopoeia. No, I'm joking. I'm going to ask you to spell necessary.
N-E... Nah, no. N-E-C-E-S-S-A-R-Y?
Let's take a look.
Right. I think that's right.
N-E-C-E-S-S-A-R-E. It is a clean sweep from my panel. They're all geniuses.
3 geniuses sitting
Wow.
there.
Lots more to come. Next up, our game show. See you shortly.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr. Me and my panel will get stuck right into the day's events, and I can tell you, in fact, I can warn you, expect some robust debates, some strong opinions and perspectives from both sides of the fence. It's about you at home as well. I love to read out all of your comments, or at least as many as I can. So join me, Michelle Dewberry, Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr.
On radio, they call it the drive time slot, 4 p.m. until 6 p.m. as listeners head home. It's that part of the schedule when the dust of the day's events begin to clarify, and we try to make sense of it for you. Brazier is drive time for radio and TV. It's fast, it's punchy, it's opinionated, there's a Brazier angle and a little bit of levity.
That's the question. That's 2 questions, actually.
That's Brazier, Monday to Thursday, 4 till 6 on GB News.
Hello, I'm Patrick Christie's.
And I'm Mercy Moroki.
Make sure that you join us Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. until midday, right here on GB News for To The Point.
We're not afraid to talk about the topics that matter to you or the big topics that always matter.
We cover absolutely everything, from the breaking political stories of the day to law and order, what's going on in the channel. We're not afraid to hold people to account.
We always make sure we include your views on our show.
Indeed, if you're thinking it, you can guarantee that we're saying it. So make sure you join the conversation with us, 10 a.m. until midday, Monday to Thursday, for To The Point on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Many thanks for all of your emails and wonderful selfies. And of course, we will do Selfie Sunday in a week's time. Any we didn't get to will feature in the opening menu of next Sunday's show. But it's so great seeing you all. And thank you for watching the show. If you're enjoying it, tell your friends, tell your family, and let's change the world together. Now, Suits have inspired tonight's Great British Game Show, easy for you to say. We're going to play a game of Suits You, Sir, in which we show you some iconic suits from over the years. And both my panel and you at home have to guess who is the famous celebrity. The reason we're playing this is because it's been reported that the suit is in terminal decline. That's right, with retailers selling fancy outfits on their uppers. So let's crack on. And I'd like you to identify, please, this famous celebrity Hollywood partnership, rather well dressed. Yes, indeed. It's a movie. The Men in Black is the right answer. There we are.
Oh, my God. Can I have both of those?
Well, it wouldn't be bad, would it? Do you still want Will Smith? Wouldn't he slap you? How about our next well-suited celebrity? Picking up a Golden Globe. That is a suit. It's a lady, of course. Very talented comedy writer. She contributed to the most recent Bond movie as a script editor. And her movie, her TV show was called Fleabag.
Phoebe Watson.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Points go to Edwina. How about our next suited icon? And let's take a look at this. Somebody from the world of politics, an area familiar to Edwina Curry.
Theresa May.
Theresa May. Let's have a look. Very elegant lady, Theresa May, isn't she, Edwina?
Yeah, she's not being very nice to her successor.
No, she's not. She's handbagged him a few times. OK, let's fire through another couple. How about this partnership? It's a movie. They're brothers, but what kind?
That's DeVito.
Blues Brothers.
Well done, Blues Brothers. How about this famous Hollywood actor, rather handsome devil? Yeah. He is in The Great Gatsby in this movie. He's also The Big Short and lots of other movies.
It's not Leonardo.
Titanic, the star of Titanic.
Leonardo
DiCaprio.
Well done.
There you go. And that's
Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando, that's right, from The Godfather. Thank you to my amazing panel. Please come back soon, folks. And I'll see you after the news headlines because, of course, we've got another headliners coming up, tomorrow's papers, and I'll be back on Friday at 9. Thank you so much for your company.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Looking ahead to tomorrow's weather, and the UK is looking dry for many with a touch of frost in prone spots in the north and west. Let's take a look at the details. In the southwest, Monday will get off to a fine start with plenty of sunshine. Maximum temperatures will be lower than of late though, with highs around 14 Celsius. In the southeast, there will be some sunshine at first, but also patchy cloud. After a dry start, a few showers are possible later. Central and eastern parts of Wales are set to start the day quite cloudy. Elsewhere, though, it will be a mostly sunny morning. Whilst the West Midlands will be quite cloudy at first, in the northwest of England there should be plenty of sunshine. It'll turn cloudier later, though, as some showers move in. You can see some showers are likely in the northeast from early on in the day. These will become more widespread as we head through the morning, with some heavier bursts likely. A few showers are likely, particularly for eastern parts of Scotland first thing tomorrow. Western parts will stay dry through the day with the best of the sunshine too. Meanwhile, over in Northern Ireland, it'll be cloudier than recent mornings, though it should stay dry. Some bright or sunny spells should develop with highs around 12 Celsius. The showers across England will become more widespread as we head through the morning, but it will generally be less blustery than recently. And that's how the weather is shaping up during tomorrow morning.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and you can join me every weekday